65%. That is how much the median sales price grew in Tampa Bay from 2020 to 2024. And during that same time frame, 221,000 people moved into the area. With such unprecedented price increases and growth, it begs the question, is the Tampa Bay housing market unhealthy? I recently listened to Dave Myers of the Bigger Pockets podcast, and he shared 5 basic factors for determining if a housing market is healthy or not. In this market report, we're going to dive into the Tampa Bay housing market, and we're going to give it a health check. Is it healthy or unhealthy? My name is Rachel Sartain Tenpenny. I'm the broker owner of the Tenpenny Collection. We post these videos once a month, so make sure and subscribe. So let's dive in and start by breaking down what the 5 basic criteria are. So number 1 is supply and demand. Number 2 is looking to see have the home price appreciations at least kept up with the inflation rate. Number 3, we're going to look into affordability. 4 is transaction volume. And lastly, we're going to discuss distressed property sales. All right, so number 1, supply and demand. Historically, a balanced market is considered a healthy market, but when are we in a balanced market? Well, this is determined by what's called a 6-month supply of homes. What in the world does that mean? It means that if no other inventory came on the market, it would take 6 months to sell all the homes that are currently available. This is healthy because it means there are enough sellers out there selling and enough buyers out there buying. And month supply of inventory is calculated by taking the number of homes that are listed for sale, the supply, and dividing that by the number of homes closed, or the demand. A market with less than 6 months supply of inventory is considered a seller's market, and that's when inventory is tight, so prices are increasing and buyers have little negotiation power. On the flip side of that, a buyer's market is when the supply of inventory is greater than 6 months. And this is when sellers have to start competing, so prices start dropping and buyers have more negotiation power. Now that we've defined all of that, let's apply it to our Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater area and see how we're doing. All right, so last month there were 8,724 homes available for sale. That's our supply. And there were 2,254 homes sold. That's our demand. So if we take our supply and divide it by our demand, it provides us a 4-month supply of inventory. Less than 6 months supply, that's a seller's market. So Tampa Bay is still in a seller's market. However, as the inventory has been increasing over the past couple of months, we are moving from an unhealthy stage to a healthy stage. So I'm going to mark this one as getting healthier. I want to pause here for just a minute and point something out. All the criteria we're going to talk about today, these are blanket approaches. And so if you look at national supply and demand, it really changes region to region. So in the warm states like Florida, Texas, and Arizona, these are the states so many people fled to during the COVID years. And right now, the inventory has increased and they're seeing slight decreases in pricing. However, in the cold states, the states that everybody fled from, these areas are now experiencing tight inventory and prices increasing. So really to look at a blanket approach doesn't give you much information for your local area. Just for example, we can take the blanket approach of Tampa Bay and talk about that there's a 4-month supply of homes. But if you're a buyer and you're looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage pool home for $500,000 to $800,000, there's only a 2-month supply of homes. Meaning there aren't many homes out there, inventory is tight, so it's a strong seller's market and you're going to have to be competitive in your offer. Contrarily, if you're looking to buy a $3 to $5 million waterfront home in Tampa Bay, there's an 11-month supply of homes. So that's a strong buyer's market. Again, what I'm trying to say is we don't want to take a blanket approach and just say, oh, the housing market is healthy or unhealthy. You really got to dive into different segments and different local areas to determine, is it a good time to buy or is it a good time to sell for you? All right, number 2 on the list. is home appreciation at least keeping up with the inflation rate? So let's look at what all this means. Historically, home appreciation is about 3 to 5% annually. Now that takes into account all the booms and all the busts, and it averages it out over the years at a 3 to 5% appreciation. Compare that to the inflation rate. From 1930 to 2024, the average inflation rate is 3.18%. Again, it takes into consideration all the booms and all the busts and averages it out over the years at 3.18%. So have home prices kept up with the inflation rate? Yes, absolutely. But they've exceeded it by so much, it is unhealthy. An appreciation of 65% over 4 years is not a factor of health. So for this one, we're going to mark it as unhealthy. All right, number 3 is affordability. And affordability is determined by, can the median income earner purchase the median home price, or can the typical home buyer purchase the typical home? So what we got to do is we got to look and see what is the income needed in Tampa Bay to purchase the median priced home of $430,000. Another thing affordability takes as an assumption is that the home buyer is putting down a 20% down payment. So if we look at that $430,000 home with a 20% down payment, how much money does a person need to earn annually in order to afford that? There are a lot of equations out there, and most of them are based off of this assumption, is a historic assumption, that 28% of your monthly income should go towards paying for your house. Now, I need to let you know that borrowers can actually borrow up to 49% debt to income ratio. For this scenario, we're going to put it right in the middle at 38% DTI, or debt to income ratio. So if you wanted to purchase a $430,000 home and you're putting 20% down, how much money do you need to earn annually? Well, right now it's $85,000. That's for the whole household. The annual income of a household in Tampa Bay last year was approximately $75,000. So knowing that the annual income is more than what is actually being earned to purchase that median priced home, we're going to mark this one as unhealthy. But there are also some other assumptions that are factored into this that I want to point out to you. So income and debt are 2 major factors, but other factors include taxes, insurance, and interest rate. Right now, the interest rate is 6.8%, and that's what we used when we did that calculation. If interest rates were to go down, say to 6%, then the annual income needed to buy a $430,000 home would only be $77,000 per year. That's much more in line with what the actual median household income is in Tampa Bay. That, again, lots of assumptions. So if we just look at it straightforward, right now, how things are, the median household income is not enough to purchase the median price. So we're going to mark this one as unhealthy. As things change in the future, we will come back and check it out. Number 4 on our list is transaction volume. You'll often hear analysts talk about 2019 because that was considered our last healthy year in the real estate market and provides pre-pandemic data. So for this, we're going to go back and look at 2019. COVID also caused the inventory to be completely restricted as so many buyers rushed out and bought homes. And it wasn't necessarily because of COVID, it was because 2 and 3% interest rates. But since the mortgage rate spiked about 3 years ago, we've seen inventory slowly increasing over the years. More inventory typically translates into more transactions. Unfortunately, that's not been the case. Right now in the Tampa Bay area, there are 11% more homes available on the market as compared to 2019. However, there are 36 fewer transactions per month compared to 2019. So if we're just looking at transaction volume, number of transactions as compared to inventory, I'm going to have to mark this one as unhealthy. Finally, number 5 on our list, distressed property sales. This one's actually pretty easy. However, many people speculated after the devastating floods of Hurricane Helene late last year that a lot of distressed properties would come on the market. And that's just not the case. Of the 2,254 homes sold last month, only 13 of them were either a short sale or a foreclosure. So that's not enough to count. I'm going to just go ahead and give this one a big thumbs up. It's a healthy market. So let's recap and look at our scorecard. We have 5 criteria that we're looking at, and we marked each of them, so let's go through it. Number 1 was supply and demand. We said that is trending towards the healthier side, so we're going to go ahead and check that one as healthy. Number 2 is home price appreciation at least keeping up with inflation? Yes, it's kept up with inflation, but it's far exceeded inflation to a point that it is unhealthy. So that one does not get a health check. Number 3 is affordability. In the Tampa Bay area, home prices are still just slightly out of reach for the typical home buyer with their annual salary. So that one is marked unhealthy as well. Number 4, transaction volume. The number of closed transactions on a monthly basis is not keeping up with the increase of inventory. So that one is marked unhealthy. Number 5, distressed property sales. We don't have any, so that one is clearly healthy. All right, so we've marked 2 out of the 5 as healthy on the scorecard. That is not going to pass the test. I'm calling the Tampa Bay market right now unhealthy, but I would love to hear from you and what you're experiencing out there if you're looking to buy a home or sell a home. But whatever criteria you use, it boils down to one thing. We have to have buyers willing to buy, and we have to have sellers willing to sell. If you need help protecting your money or with your purchase, we are here to help. And we put out these videos on a monthly basis to give you the information you need. If you have specific questions about your scenario of buying a home or selling a home, we are here to help. So please make sure and reach out, and don't forget to subscribe.